Let's go, bro.
Don't put. Oh,
Hey, should I not put it?
that shit will sink, bro.
Dude. First, this kind of weird because we're like leaning it up.
Leaning back.
We can't like sit on this. Oh shit. Okay. No.
No, let's not do that.
That's not, can we put it down? Should we put it down?
Yeah.
Definitely will be better.
Just clip that thing.
Okay. Hold up, boys. I'm trying to reroute. I might have to sit like a chick. Is that bad?
Nah, bro. I'm chilling if you chilling, bro.
Okay, I'm chilling. Boys, this is the first podcast that is taking place on a boat. I always leave it all in too, so they're just gonna see us like monkeying around.
That's what we like to see.
Welcome back to the show, Respectfully Inspired with Aussie Films. Today I'm here with Andrew Shiheiber. Shiheiber, I don't know how you say it.
Shiheiber.
Even though I lived with him for 2 years, he's my college roommate and he's one of my best friends. I dropped out of school, so I haven't been with him much, and we're just gonna do a boys podcast and catch up right here.
Yes.
I like to start off every episode with my why behind the show, which is I want to inspire you to invest in soul wealth. So most people measure success by wealth metrics, such as either your money, possessions, achievements, status. And the goal of my podcast is to change the way you measure success to soul wealth metrics, which is the quality of your relationships and the quality of your memories. And this guy was a really, really big deal in teaching me that and just being such a good friend and investing in relationships. So I'm excited to start this. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Andrew Shiheiber. Like Ozzy said, we were roommates. We lived in Tacuba over at State. It was my junior year, but he was technically a sophomore, but we're all the same age. But
Yeah.
we lived with 8 dudes in Tacuba. It was a great time. And yeah,
Go ahead and plop that mic like
up here.
in your mouth. It actually doesn't matter, but it's just you want the
better.
guests to be at the same kind of
Okay. Yeah.
spot. So the first topic that I want to talk about, and it's funny because sometimes the guests don't know if they should look at the camera or if they should look at each other, but we're like so close. And I feel like here, looking at each other is like a little intimate.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's like I don't know if you're about to go in or for a kiss or something. It's like we almost have to look. We almost have to look at the camera. So,
Stare at the camera, bro.
there's a term called breaking the fourth wall. So like when people film a podcast, they look at each other and they act like there's no cameras. And then at the end, it's like, promote your shows. Go watch my show.
Yeah.
But we're just staring the whole time. So I hope you appreciate that. The first topic I want to talk about is fake friends. Because in high school, we both felt that we had a lot of fake friends. And it's something I think about a lot, because I guess I wonder, do you think that by feeling that your friends are fake, you're almost like manifesting it? And I wanted to get your opinion.
So for me, I think I didn't realize that my friends themselves were fake towards me until after the fact. So I really never realized it during, and it kind of just was like part of high school where I was just like kind of into my own thing. Like I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to have my friend groups, but it always felt like I was kind of excluded from that. And it took me a while to really realize that this isn't normal. And I think you mean like manifest out.
I mean, we
Elaborate on that.
had different experiences then.
Yeah.
Because I was very aware. I felt that all my friends were really fake. But
Okay.
for the same reasons that you didn't realize. Like I was never invited to stuff and I felt very excluded. And I thought like, and the reason I bring up the term like manifest is I talked about this with the previous guest, is I felt that like by like I would be kind of sad or depressed and I'd be like, damn, like I never get invited, or like
Yeah.
my friends pass up on me. And I almost feel like it was true, they did not invite me and they did like kind of treat me fakely. But then I felt like I would act all depressed, and then so when I would be around them, I wasn't like fun to be around.
Yeah.
So it's like a cycle where it's like
Yeah.
they don't invite me and then I'm hanging out with them and
I think it's your fault.
and I'm acting all weird because I'm like, do these people not like me? And then, well, if I'm acting weird, why would they even want to invite me? So it's like a cycle.
So yeah, I definitely did feel that. So like for me, I played volleyball through high school, and I was really like committed to the sport, and just like I wanted to go play at the college level. Like I was super into it, and I think that after thinking about why my friends wouldn't invite me places, like they would invite each other, and I'd be sitting there, and they would just not invite me, and I'm like, okay. So it got to a point where I was just like, when they did invite me, I was like, do I really want to go with these people? But when I was trying to attribute like why that was the case, I kind of brought it back towards volleyball because I was so committed. I was like, maybe none of my other teammates were like so into it as much as I was. Like none of them were just like so into it to try to make it to the next level. And like maybe it was because I was so like into it, like volleyball, that to them it was just like, oh, we're just playing high school volleyball. And so maybe because I was too into it, that's what kind of drew me away from getting invited places. But then it also translates to just like, I was never really put in the position to begin with. Like I don't feel like I was like invited first, you know? So it was kind of...
That brings up another question though, because a topic that I find very interesting, which is like the idea of destination happiness. What destination happiness is when someone has a goal in their head, whether it's I want to play pro volleyball or I want 1 million subscribers, and then they're like the type of person who's really, really dedicated. And so they like tunnel vision into that goal. And by tunnel visioning into that goal, they miss out on the journey along the way. So now that you've kind of, you're in your last year of college volleyball and you're fairly confident you're not going to go pro. Do you feel like, oh, damn, I wish in high school I had like relaxed a little bit? Or do you feel like everything was the way it was supposed to be?
No, I don't think so. No, flat out, honestly, because if I wouldn't have put in the work, then I wouldn't have had the experiences that I have now. And yeah, it sucked in the moment, but I've grown and figured that because of the relationships that I did have in high school, now I know what real friendships are. And I know that like people don't give me shit for stuff that's like minuscule, you know, like it's just so ridiculous. It's literally high school. It's theatrics, bro. Like just like it's literally high school. And then when I got to college, I figured out like, okay, that isn't normal. This stuff doesn't. This isn't what's supposed to happen. And that's when I started to build those relationships, and that's what made me realize like if I didn't put in the work, if I wasn't so committed, or if I didn't do all this stuff, then I wouldn't be put in the position where I get to play volleyball in San Diego. Or if I didn't go play there, then there's no way I would have ended up at state, and I would have made all these friends, and I would have lived with Ozzy. Like, there's so many different things that translate from that high school experience and either having it or not to like what we have now. And so I don't think it's destination happiness because, you know, I don't feel like I missed out on things. I did feel like I missed out on things, but I don't see it as a result of me working too hard. And like, because I've gotten those experience now, I guess.
And ultimately, it did lead to like more good than bad.
Exactly.
It just wasn't in the moment.
It just wasn't in the moment. I couldn't see it. I didn't understand like why wasn't I getting invited? They're not even like offering it to me. They're not even giving me a chance to say no. And because sometimes like I wouldn't want to go out, or but then it gets to a point where maybe they weren't asking me because they knew I didn't want to go. It's like still ask me. So it's kind of like, you know, I just want to be included, and that was kind of an issue.
Then I have another question. Then, so me as well as you, I had the same experience of, to put it very generally, I went from having a bunch of fake friends in high school to having a bunch of real friends in college. Yeah. Do you think that was solely like by chance, or do you think you did something about like the way you lived to attract more real friends?
I don't think I did something specifically. I just feel like I was put in a position where I was able to be surrounded by better people in general, and then I kind of was able to figure out who those close friends would be. 'Cause I can count like 5 friends, you know, like I think that kind of.
See, I don't agree. No? I don't feel the same way. Okay. But that's okay.
Okay.
We can.
I like to hear about.
We can both be right. I feel that, and maybe this is, have you ever heard of the term extreme ownership? So there's a book called Extreme Ownership. It's written by a Navy SEAL, Jocko Williams. And the idea is that no matter what happens to you, you take responsibility. So they do it to the most extreme levels. So there'll be an example where their crew will be in like Afghanistan. They'll be walking across a field, and one of their crew members will step on a mine and it'll blow up and die. And they'll all sit in a circle, the rest of the crew, and they'll go around the crew and they'll each tell him why it was their fault that he died, even though he just stepped on a random mine. And that's why the title's Extreme Ownership. It's a little David Goggins-ish, but I do think that there's a lot of truth in it. And I guess to bring it back to this situation, I felt like, I'm a strong believer in manifesting, and I felt like by feeling that the people around me were treating me so bad, I would almost like hide away from them. And like again, that cycle. And then when I went to college, I was lucky enough to like study abroad in Spain and kind of I knew that college was a chance to restart. Like I knew that I had a reputation in high school, and I knew that I didn't want to take it with me to college. And so when I went to college, I felt like I made it, I tried really hard to be someone who you'd want to invite. Like be fun, love people. In high school, I learned by what was done to me. So people bullied me. And so I thought, if I want to go make friends, I bully others and I put them down, and that makes me cool. So I would, instead of laughing with others, I would laugh at others. And the reason I did that was because people did that to me. And so it was like a teaching thing. But then when I went to college, I had like a bunch of epiphanies, and I was like, no, I want to be someone who includes everyone. I want to be someone who loves everyone, makes everyone laugh. And I feel like by taking that approach, I attracted more real friends. And I guess that is like, I think environment plays a big role, but I don't think it's like the sole factor.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's definitely, I just didn't feel like I had to change what I did. I felt that it was the people I was surrounding myself with, and this kind of, it kind of, they're getting lit on that party.
Yeah.
This
sounds like a college boat, but it's just a
bunch of old people, bro.
No one's dancing. It's like,
so I think it's, yes, you have to put in the more effort. This is gonna be really loud. You have to put in more effort for, I forget what I was gonna say, but
it's okay.
I think mainly I don't think I really changed a whole lot of what I did beforehand to make these friends. I don't think that was kind of, I think I was just and I realized this wasn't even my freshman year of college. It was my sophomore year when I was stuck at home during COVID, and I didn't have friends surrounding me because I was home. And when we were finally able to go out and hang out, and I realized that the people that I really wanted to hang out with made me feel like a select few. Like there's still one of my best friends, I'm not including in this, but I would hang out with them, and I would hang out with other people, and those other people would cause me so much stress and so much like I have to be a certain way around this person so that they like me. And then I realized, I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I like putting myself through this stress when I don't have to? And so at that point, that's when I was like, and what happened was I hung out with new people that were like, didn't put me down. They didn't make me feel uncomfortable. Like they didn't whatever. And I was able to really realize like those people are the ones, like, why am I limiting myself to them? And that kind of switched my perspective. And then I was able to translate that to being back at school. And obviously being back at school, I was being able to be more social, and I was around people my age, and I was able to talk to people, and just like it translated heavily, and
there is
able to grow from that.
An idea of people who give you energy and people who take away energy. And I
wasn't even that boat.
I know. I thought it was that boat, and it was just somewhere there.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'll use AI to remove the music as best I can. Don't worry about it. Yeah, we're by an airport and a boat and whatever, but that's... I chose to do this podcast outside knowing that the audio quality would be a little worse.
Hey,
But
we're on a boat, bro, and it's sunny out.
I'm like, dude, 99% of podcasts are filmed indoors.
Indoors in the same place.
So by doing it outdoors in different places, that one decision differentiates me from 99% of podcasts.
I agree.
I was going to talk about the idea of people give you energy and take away energy.
Mhm.
I got a sickness at the beginning of this year that like basically just gives me like a lot of fatigue and brain fog. And ever since getting that sickness, I can really notice like who gives me energy and who takes away energy. But like me being I am able to notice it, but it is interesting to think like why. And I think you brought up a really interesting point with like, you get the most energy from people that you can be your 100% complete self. Because I know people that are like really good heart and like they're such great people, but maybe they have a different political belief or a different whatever, and I feel like I can't like truly be myself around them, and it still is, that makes it be like an energy draining relationship.
Because it takes more effort.
You have to like play a persona.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people, especially in high school, me certainly, you can find yourself draining yourself when you like a girl because you like try to be what you think they would like.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So that's what I was getting at too. Is just it's like you have to, especially in high school, and just you're stuck in one space where it's like, okay, this chick is gonna like me if I'm like this, but like I don't have to be any sort of way. Like I was just awkward and weird anyway.
Yeah.
So why was I trying to be somebody like, you know? And
even if they do end up liking you, like even if you're like this great actor and you're like playing this persona and they do end up liking you, are you really gonna enjoy a relationship where you have to be someone who you're not?
Yeah. That's the real question.
That's interesting. So if anyone's listening and they're like, I like this girl, but like I can't be myself around them, then you don't like that girl. I mean, maybe you do, but
you have to kind of find that thing, I think, too.
You have to like be able to be yourself because otherwise you're just gonna.
Not to say like you can't like learn to be yourself. Like for me, I mean, this is with Claire too. Is like I was, those first few times that we hung out, I was so nervous and like we expressed to each other that we liked each other, so that was already off the table. Like it wasn't even like nobody knew. It was still so stressful and so like nerve-wracking. Just because I was like, this girl actually likes me. Like I don't want to mess it up. But then my heart would start beating and like I just get nervous and then it gets to a point where it's like I'm literally hanging out with this person every single day. Like they know me now. Like what am I nervous? And like now, like she's one of the homies. Like you know, like she's my girlfriend, but like she's one of the homies. Like I would hang out with her, like I would with anybody, you know. And it's just like you have to find that. So not to say like you can't like become yourself when you're like with somebody, but like I agree with what you're saying.
You know, let's follow up on that though, because I think we've had some similar experiences with girls and some very different experiences with girls. What like for someone else, if there's someone in the audience listening and they feel that same kind of like anxiety that you used to feel, like what advice would you give them? Anxiety specifically for being around a girl you like or being in a situation.
For me, it wasn't like I was around this girl and she was causing me anxiety. Like it wasn't because I was around her. It was just like
it was
just like the nerves, you know, just like.
So how would you like help someone calm? Because you remember we would always try to like be like, dude, do this. I'm like, this is our advice. Or like,
it was like if Ozzy gave me quite a few like, dude, if I could give you any advice.
Like a squad would do it.
Our whole squad would do it.
Which is funny because I don't feel like anyone in our squad, like
nobody in our squad
was like had a really successful relationship.
For real, bro.
That's the funniest part. Like if you're in high school, bro, or like if you're in like college dorm, it's like everyone's like, all right, bro, this is how you go about it.
Do, bro.
Yeah, but no one had like a successful.
Nobody had a successful relationship.
So it's like it's just funny, but
yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it kind of comes with time, and you just around this person so much that it just becomes second nature to just be yourself, and it takes more effort to like try to be somebody else. So just chill. I would just relax and just. You're gonna find yourself in like I feel like I'm pretty goofy when I'm like by myself, like with Ozzy.
Yeah.
Anybody like, I can be myself and like. just be goofy. And it took me a little bit to get to that point. But then all of a sudden I realized, like, it clicked for me. Like, we were hanging out at my house and I had music playing and I was just being mad goofy. And then I was in the car and I was like, dude, it's switched. Like,
Dude,
now I'm just chilling. Now I can just, like,
I feel like I have a piece of advice and I want to get your opinion on it. And it actually would be totally different than probably what I told you. So I think in the past I would have probably told someone, like, don't put yourself in the friend zone. I would have been like, if you're too nice, like, you're gonna get in the friend zone. I'm sure I've said something like that to you. But now I actually think that if you like a girl, that the best way to, like, approach a successful relationship is to be friends first.
Absolutely.
Because if, like, I mean, I feel like it's like impossible to take away the attraction. Like, you're never gonna solely see someone 100% for their soul and, like, have no influence of how they look.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if you think a girl is attractive, like, you should go in with the mindset of, like, let me be this girl's friend first.
Yeah.
Because if it's meant to be, then, like, I feel like
the transition would be easier.
You'll take off way more pressure. Like, if you're thinking, like, oh, I want to make this romantic, well, first of all, you're putting a ton of pressure on you.
Exactly, yeah.
But second of all, you're limiting your ability to be yourself because you're like, well, like, you'll be fine just being a friend. But if you're like, I have to make this into a romantic relationship, well, then you have to, like, play a persona.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if, like, you approaching a friend as a friend isn't going to make you or her any less physically attractive to each other. Like, you still look the same.
Yeah.
And actually, then if you do have a spark, if you are good friends, like, I feel like it will set you up for a better relationship.
I totally agree. I think being friends with somebody first, especially if you're looking to create a relationship out of it, is, like, it just makes things so much easier, and it makes you, like, you just feel a connection with that person even more, because then once you're past that awkward stage, like I said, it was still a little bit awkward.
Yeah,
Claire, but, like, I was past the awkward stage of, like, going up and talking to this girl outside of a party, or like, if I saw her someplace, like, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't, like, it made it easier because she was my friend. So it was like, and obviously there was some nerves there too, because, like, but I think being friends with somebody first and then translating that into a relationship is the best way to do it, because then you're not hopping into a relationship, like, on a whim almost.
Do you remember in high school and I guess this even happens in college a little bit, where, like, a girl would message you and your boys are like, well, wait 3 days.
Dude, I hate that.
Wait 3 days and then respond.
I'm literally the first to say, like, if anybody,
so
with anybody, like, oh, you seem too desperate. Like, no, if I like this girl, like, I'm gonna text her back.
Yeah.
And, like, what's kind of funny about this, and this is when me and Claire were first, like, texting and stuff, like, unintentionally we would text each other, like, once a day. And I was like, I hope this girl doesn't think that I'm trying to be like this way. Yeah. And then I was like, I don't think she's trying to be like this way. And then when I talked to her after, she's like, no, like, my phone was just so jacked up for olive break, and, like, I wasn't on my phone. And I'm like, dude, I wasn't on my phone either. So it's just kind of funny that happened. But, like, I hate it. I literally think that that's, like, one of the dumbest things. Like, so you're gonna, like, not respond for, like, hours, or you're not desperate. Like,
but
no, I want to talk to this person.
The thing is, too, it's like, you don't want to create a relationship. Basically, you're, like, trying to trick them into, like, being with you. You're like, oh, if I send a text if I wait 3 days to send a text, well, then she's going to think I'm not thinking about her.
Yeah.
And that's going to make her want me more.
Exactly.
But, like, do you want someone to want you just because you're not showing them attention? Or do you want them to want you because they're having so much fun around you?
Yeah. Do you want them to like you based off of you?
I always tell people, like, if there's any, like, really, like, I mean, this isn't, like, great advice because I don't feel like it doesn't help people that much. But if there is any one baseline advice, it's just, like, make sure that they have fun with you.
Exactly,
like, bro, if you're having fun every time you're together and they find you attractive at all, then, like, I feel like you're good.
Yeah. That's the best way to do it. And it's like, you want to make yourself memorable in that instance, and it's not going to be from not texting somebody, in my opinion, you know? They're going to be memorable as, like, oh, that person, like, hasn't texted me.
Yeah, it's just memorable and, like, oh, and then you just become, like, an achievement. It's like, oh, I just want to get their attention.
Yeah.
And like, me and you are both not about like the one night stands.
No.
That's like a one night stand thing.
Exactly.
It's like I want to win them into my bed. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
No.
congrats, but that's weird.
Win you into my bed.
That's like literally what it is. Though. They like try to win you into the bed, bro. But I want to switch topics onto.
All right.
So back in high school or sad boy hours, I love sad music, and I know you love sad music. Like, it actually, like, heartbreak love music was, I guess I would say is, like, it's my favorite genre of music.
Mhm.
But I feel, like, it's still my favorite genre of music, but I've had to cut it out, like, 90% because I really believe that, like, if you listen to sad music, it makes you sad.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
I think so. I think that I agree. Like I listened to a lot of like Laney and stuff. I was never heartbroken, bro. Like, but I listened to it a lot. And then, like, since dating Claire, like, if any of those songs come on, and I'm like, Congrats by Laney.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't listen to that.
Dude,
like,
that's-
it makes me sad. Like, why would I listen to that? You know?
It's like such a bop though.
Yeah. When we saw it live, it was so bop.
It's like a different thing, but
You know what I'm saying? But like some of those like sad songs are just kind of like they kind of bring your mood down. And sometimes
Yeah.
I'm in the mood. Sometimes if I'm being nostalgic, or if I'm like in a phase where like last year when school was ending and like I was graduating and I'm like, dude, like college is gonna be over. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be back, but it's not gonna be the same. And I mean, you feel that now, but it's like I'd put on like that Rivers and Roads song or like any like graduation song. And it's like I don't know. Like the one like graduation or like good old days, like
I know what
those, you know, like it's
nostalgic
like it's
songs.
nostalgic. I don't think it's
Yeah.
make me sad always. I just skip.
That's interesting too, because I would say for the most part, like I would say 90% of the music I used to listen to was sad heartbreak music, and I would say like 10% of the music I listen to now. But I can get to a place where like my favorite songs, I can listen to them and like sad ass songs that I can like sing the words and just like reflect on how far I've come. Where I'll like sing it, but I'll be like smiling and laughing and like happy about it.
Yeah.
But I just can't like over consume it. It is like,
It gets a little too much sometimes.
you know, like you are what you eat. Like that's like a
Exactly.
quote.
Yeah.
Like you are what you consume. You are what you listen to, what you watch, what you eat. Like, so
I agree.
that's
Definitely.
interesting. Switching topics, I want to talk about dropping out. So I dropped out. Andrew didn't drop out.
Nope.
We lived together. We only lived together for 1 year.
1 year. Yeah.
Why did I think we lived together for 2 years?
Really, like still like
Came, but not that much.
it was like every once in a while hang out.
So this is something, I think the topic of dropping out, I know statistically it's becoming way more common. More and more people want to be YouTubers. More and more people want to do creative work. Less and less people want to go to school. So I think this is an important thing to talk about. But when I lived in the dorms with Andrew, it was some of the best days of my life.
So
like,
good.
just, we all had like very synchronous humor. So like,
It was the best combination of 8 dudes.
yeah.
Like,
Dude,
it's
so
insane.
we literally had like 7 dudes in one apartment, and we rarely had trouble.
Rarely.
Like I think me and Andrew have maybe gotten 2 arguments. I've known him for like 4 years now, probably 3 or 4 years. And but I remember, and one of the things I always loved about Andrew and appreciated about him is he was very like similar to my work ethic. So like we'd both go to class during the day, we'd both go to the gym, and then we'd like record. So I was a vlogger, and I would record whatever happened, whatever tomfoolery. We had roommates that would
So
just
good.
do stupid shit, and I would record it. And in the nighttime, like late midnight, 1 a.m., I would be editing videos, and Andrew would be watching the volleyball footage, and he would just be like breaking down his volleyball footage, and I would just be editing vlogs, and it was just like the best, like busy from like the second you wake up, class, gym.
That was
work.
8 a.m. days too. I had 8 a.m.s.
And that was like so much fun. And I remember thinking like, all right, I know I want to do creative work. I'm spending money to be in school, but I know that like I don't really want to do something that has a degree. And but this was the big train of thought. And I know that someone listening has probably had this before, where I was like, I'm making videos. I'm very dedicated. You could vouch for the fact that I was up 1, 2 a.m. editing videos, and I was like,
the same clip over and over. Listen,
I was like,
everything was like, it was perfect.
I was like, if I leave school, that means I'm gonna have way more time to do YouTube. I'm gonna have way more time to like improve my videos, make better content. And so I left. I dropped out of school, and what I didn't realize is how much school was a muse for my videos. So like, I had so much time. I was right. I had time. I was saving money not being in school, but I just felt like I just really genuinely like I lost a desire to create because I didn't have you guys. Like I didn't have to come up with a storyline just by existing in that dorm. A new story happened every day, like just some random shit, and I think that was a really like important lesson for me. Just to like jump to the future for a moment, I really do believe I made the right decision. Like my life has been crazy, walking across Spain, starting this podcast. I believe that I'm on the right path. But I believe that I'm on the right path. But there was a big lesson learned there, which was that like it's so common to be somewhere in life and to think that somewhere else is better. Like whether you're in high school and you're like, oh, I can't wait till I get to college, or you're in college and you're like, I wish I could drop out, or you're like in a classroom and you're like, well, writing this essay sucks. Like I can't wait till I'm not in this class. And then like think about how many times in high school you're like, oh, this class sucks or this shit sucks. And I don't know if you have this feeling, but I think back on high school and I'm like, dude, I would do anything to be in another high school class where just like this random tomfoolery happens in class and like people are messing with the teacher and like, and I feel the exact same way about our dorm. I'm like, dude, I would do anything to be in that dorm and just messing around. And like sports, I would do anything to have another lacrosse practice and like, and it's like, but in the moment you don't feel that way.
No, I agree. I think that that's definitely like, it's played a lot of part into my experience like this year too, is because like I graduated and I decided I needed more school regardless because of what I wanted to do. I needed some sort of locked in income. And so I had to go to school. And so just figuring out what I wanted to do. And I ended up getting into state, which was like my first option. So I could stay at state, whatever. But just being here for the last week of school and like, it could have also translated just from the summer I had. I had a great summer. I had some good stuff happen and just like being able to do whatever I wanted and all that. But being back on campus and seeing everybody, I'm living further off campus, so I'm not at Viva, or I'm not at Tacuba. Like I'm not on the campus. I didn't have school on Monday. Like I had it on Wednesday at 4:00 in the afternoon. Like it's just such a strange feeling. I'm like on campus, but I feel like I'm not part of it. And then I'm seeing all these other kids just like walking around, and I'm like, dude, I would give anything to just be in a hard ass like anatomy class again, or my physiology class again, or just like being surrounded with all of my undergrad friends, like just being part of that again, and then being able to be back in that situation would just make me feel so much better. That's... And it's kind of tough, and it's the same. I think that's also played a part into like why I haven't given up volleyball yet is I learned about this one of my classes. It's really tough for like athletes who are facing retirement from a sport. Like how do they react? How does it change them? And like I'm finally realizing that it's really difficult to kind of let go, but it's kind of it's a whole thing. And I definitely agree with you. I think it hasn't all that fun, and it's tough.
The example you gave is like really particularly interesting because you're like you still go to school there, and you're just like going to class at different time, but just it's not the same. It's like even though like I'm so not a frat kid and like I'm not, I totally like don't like partying and doing like the stuff they do. Like I see all the kids on Rush Week and and on Snapchat, and they're dressing up and the sorority girls, and I'm like, dude, I would do anything for like the mysterious, even though I went and explored the route and I like was like, I didn't really like love it, but the mysterious of when it was all new, of like not knowing and just walking into some gross college party with 300 people. Now I'm like, that's disgusting. But at the time it was just cool that 300 people were in a room. And like, I feel that's for so many different things. I feel it for high school sports. I feel it for high school. I feel it for college. I feel it And what I'm realizing is that I think it's good to reflect, but what I'm realizing is that like this period you're in will be another period that you look back
exactly.
on. So you have to understand that like don't be in such a rush wherever you're going. Like if you're like, I can't wait for my job, I can't wait for this, I can't wait for to go to college or to go to high school, whatever the thing you're looking forward to, just zoom out for a second and like zoom back into your moment, because every moment is like a moment you wish you could go back to once you leave it.
Yeah.
And
I totally agree with that. I think that's a great perspective, and I think that helps me kind of remain present in what I'm doing, and it's helped me a lot as of lately. Just like, okay, yeah, it kind of, and this translates to everything with like schooling and stuff. Like I remember I'd always be in class on like studying for a test. I remember this my freshman year. I had to take chemistry. I hated it, and it was like pre-COVID, so everything was in person, no notes. Like it was tough. And I remember like watching TV, and no cheat, no Quizlets, bro, no Socratic. I remember being like watching TV and thinking, did these people like have to go through this like chemistry? Like I hate it, and like this and that. And then I survived. I passed the class, and then I'm done. And then I have only 7 semesters left, and then all of a sudden it's like, yo, that was my 8th semester. I made it.
Yeah.
How many classes did I say like, yo, this sucks. Like this is so bad. Like I just don't want to be here. Like it's just, this is so difficult. And then all of a sudden you're done. You figured it out. You passed. And that translates to everything in life. If you work on it and you do what you do, and even though it sucks in the moment, it's all gonna work out. Like regardless of what it is.
I want to give them another perspective of dropping out. So a day for me that was really hard this year was a ton of the people I went to college with around June graduated.
Yeah.
And so I dropped out my sophomore year, and a ton of the people I went to college with, Will, Brandon, our roommates, graduated in June. And I'm the type of person who always celebrates my friends' successes. It wasn't like a jealousy thing, but when I saw all my friends graduate, I had just this overwhelming feeling of like, I remembered the good moments in college and just being like, all these kids had like 2 more years of memories in college that I openly chose not to have. And as a dropout, that like...
But you got different memories.
So that's like the thing where I'm going with this, which is like, you exactly predicted it. It's like, it was really, really hard for me just to be like, wow, like, it feels like a life that, it almost feels like you have 2 paths in like a video game, and you click one path, but then you get a moment where they show you what the other path looked like. And like it was really hard. And I remember I texted my friend who dropped out, who owns a company called Creator Camp, who's been a super big impact on my life. And he was like, dude, like you chose this path so you could have an exponential life. And it like all hit me. And quickly after that, I went to New York City. I met a bunch of my Creator Camp heroes. Like this millionaire dude sent me to walk across Spain. And like so many things just, I felt like I was like, oh wait, my path is like beautiful in its own way. But I think there's more. My timer's going off, so I'm going to go grab it a second. But as you go through life, there's more and more like life-changing decisions. When you're younger, you don't have as much of a say. You have to go to high school. You have to go to middle school. Then you get to this point where every decision is going to like significantly affect the experiences you have. And that's okay. Yeah. And you can share your thoughts on that while I grab more.
Well, yeah, I think that's a really good perspective on that. And it's kind of like FOMO, like fear of missing out. You kind of feel that if everybody else is doing something, you kind of want to do that too, even though the things that you got going on are just as fun and just as great. So I think that's with everything too. A lot of stuff we talk about that's like specialized to what we want to talk about translates to so many different aspects of life, like
this thing,
which is really cool.
Our heads.
Should we move back?
Nah, I mean, it's fine. I don't really care, but for the clips, it's a little annoying.
Good.
40 minutes right now, which is good. What was I going to talk? Oh, let's get into some funny stories.
All right.
I can lead off. The first, dude, so we had this roommate, Will, who's just like, okay, picture like Asian, he's like what, 6'2",
6'3",
6'3",
Yeah.
like perfect body, like dude, chiseled, like Greek
Chiseled.
god body.
Chiseled.
And he
Not
could-
like big chiseled, like no body fat chiseled.
like
But like strong.
he would like
you
get
know,
to the point where he would like look like, I don't know. I want to say he would look like a Holocaust victim, but that's like
that's really bad, bro.
just
That's
because
really bad.
he would
It
he like,
didn't look like that, bro.
like no, not like okay,
He was really skinny. He
He
looks
was
like
just-
he was deprived, nutritionally
like he
deprived.
would, yeah, he would.
But he wasn't. Well, he might-
Well, I'm saying like he knew how to cut so well that he was jacked, but he would be at like a 7% body
Yeah.
fat, which means that he's like insanely like it was gross actually. There was times where I really admired his body, and there was times where I was like, that's gross.
Yeah.
But I still respected like to be able to change your body that much, you have to have insane discipline in the gym and what you eat. You just put piles of kale on the.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways,
Cook kale and spinach and olive oil in a pan.
this guy is like a wild dude, and I remember he
Like once a day too. Like that's all he would eat.
yeah, he
You
would
just
just be
like
dialed.
leave his room and not cook that and then disappear.
The healthiest I ever was when I was like following his regimen.
With like the smoothies.
Oh my gosh, bro, I would just kale smoothies, freaking
Tasted good.
100% dark chocolate.
He'd come back with just like such like random like fads.
Yeah, he
like,
always have a new thing. Like for
Yeah.
a while, he was like 1 glass of red wine a
Yeah.
day. He'd be like, dude, it's great for you. And he would every dinner in our dorm sit down and have like 1 glass of.
and that's when we have a clip on the vlog where we like pan it to Nolan. We're like, Nolan, what do you think of this? He's like, I think he's an alcoholic.
That's funny.
Oh my god, it was so good.
But one of the things he did that was like a wild story is I don't know where him and his friends originated this idea, but when he was in like grade school, him and his friends would take like the pink erasers, and they would wipe it on their ass, bro. They'd wipe it on their ass, and he would give it to his teacher and be like, "My eraser's broken." And the teacher's like, "What do you mean your eraser's broken? It's not like in pieces. It's like perfectly formed." And he'd be like, "I don't know. It smells weird." And then the teacher would smell it and be like, "Oh gosh," and like give him a new eraser.
That's so bad, bro.
And I remember he was telling me this, and I was like, "Dude, like,
It was so random. He didn't
like,
even
bro,
like.
you had some trauma in
He
your
didn't
childhood."
even like prompt it with anything. He just started talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, good times with Wilski.
But anyway, so we had a roommate named, we'll just leave him at Sarms because no one except us knows that name. We called him Sarms because he liked the gym so much that he would potentially consider performance enhancing drugs.
Not sure he did. Yeah, I don't think he did.
No, he definitely did.
He didn't, but
But
what
anyway,
was ironic about it is when you're on SARMs, you look like Will.
yeah.
And so whenever we would call SARMs, he would get like, he's like, no, bro, like,
Will
on SARMs.
Oh, yeah, Will's on stuff. But anyways, one day he Will like took his pillow and he didn't do anything to his pillow. He just put it back.
He didn't take it. He didn't take it. We just sent a Snapchat in the group chat of him in the room. And then he locked the room.
Yeah. And he was like, and then Scotty would like get,
Scotty came home.
I don't want to say his name, but whatever.
Oh,
He came,
SARMs.
Cyrus came back.
Bleep him.
We would wake up and we would be up late and we'd wake him up and he'd come out of his room pissed that we wake him up. And one time
It was like 11:30, bro.
Will was like, I wiped my ass on your pillow.
It was like we were all home, and because I remember I filmed it.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's like, bro, I don't know. He's like, I came back drunk and I went in your room and I wiped my ass with something. He's like, I'm not sure what it was. And SARMs was just like, bro, what'd you do? It was just like drilling him, and he's like, I don't know.
It was,
It might have been your pillow.
it was so obviously not true.
Like everybody knew that it wasn't true.
But he was like, it might have been your pillow. I just will use something in your room to wipe my ass. And
Such harmless pranks, bro.
would get so mad, but There was another time where one of our roommates, Chewy, set his room on fire. So,
You know, that's honestly, like, to this day, that's one of my favorite clips from the vlog, was that video you have of him.
dude, I wish I was like worried about getting my roommate Chewy in trouble, so I didn't like record his room when it was on fire because it was like, oh, if I post this, like the school might see it and might get him in trouble. But now it wouldn't have made any difference.
No.
So I wish I'd recorded it, but I just recorded like
What happened is that the alarm starts going off
at like 3 in the
at
morning.
like 3 in the morning, and I lived in the room with Brandon, and then Nolan and Ozzy were in the other room, and then I didn't wake up immediately. I think Brandon woke me up, and then Ozzy wasn't waking up, and Nolan wasn't like pushing him to get up.
Yeah.
And Nolan does his accent for Musa, and he was like, Ozzy, get up. And it was so good.
Oh, so okay, dude, this alarm was like, it didn't sound like it was just in our room. It sounded like a whole building.
The whole building.
Like I thought the building was on fire.
Yeah.
Because I woke up and I immediately smelled smoke, but I was the last to wake up. Like my roommate was doing an impression of my other roommate. He's like, Scotty. He's like, Ozzy, wake up.
Ozzy, get up.
So I get up and, bro, I'm thinking like the freaking room's burning down. So
Yeah.
I'm like, grab my possession. At the time,
The first thing that you grabbed was the camera.
yeah, the only thing I cared about was how do I record this and make it into a vlog. And so I was just like dazed and confused. I grabbed the vlog and we're all like, why is this alarm going off? We don't know if it's the whole building or if it's just us, but we smell it. We're like, dude, the fire's close. And then
Mind you, everybody except for Chewy. is
everyone
out.
except for Chewy. So the whole alarm's been going off for I mean, probably like 2 minutes, but like a loud alarm. And we're like, we need to wake Chewy up. Like, we don't want him to like die in the fire. And so he like, underwear, he like opens the door to his room and walks out and bro, just billows of smokes come out, bro. And this guy didn't wake up. Like, we had to wake.
He was like living and sleeping.
Bro, he was like it was like dark black smoke, like dark black billows,
Going out of
and he was
his
just
room.
breathing it in. and he gets out. He's like, "Oh shit, guys! Like, I think I left a cig on my desk, bro." He like smoked a cig in
and
his
left it
dorm
on a
room.
cardboard cutout thing, and it just started burning,
Yeah.
and then just caught on fire, and the whole desk caught on fire.
Bro. And dude, I just
And
like,
so the clip was like, Ozzy like pans it and actually has it on slow motion for whatever reason.
yeah.
And it pans to Chewy, and it's just like he's like, and it's like smoke is just like,
Yeah, he's like, that's so funny, bro.
he's like dead asleep, bro. It was so
Chewy was just ruthless, and
He
then
was just like the strangest guy, but he fit into our group perfectly because he came the second semester, so he wasn't
Yeah.
part of it the first. But he like fit in like perfectly with us.
I would do anything to be back in that dorm. And then we had a Scottish roommate who was just freaking hilarious, bro. He would like,
He was Scottish, Middle Eastern, so he was like dark and had a Scottish accent. It was just so random.
yeah, and we'd play video games, and he would just cuss, but his accent just made it so funny, just saying random cuss words, and the thing is, we would mess with each other in like the weirdest ways. So like one day, like we had a breaker so we could turn off all the lights. So sometimes when Andrew would
Not
take
sometimes.
showers,
He did it 3 times, bro, in a row.
Andrew would take a shower and we would like turn all the
breakers
off so it would be completely dark, and we would like hold the door shut and blast like horror music.
Like scary music,
Like
bro.
little girls being like, through the window, through the wall. Yeah, we would mess with each other. But one time, dude, the best ever was when Musa, my Scottish roommate, dude, keep in mind, this guy's like 6'4" and he's like big, like 200 pounds,
Rugby player.
like built 200 pounds. And one day I was having a conversation with Andrew about something. I don't remember what we were talking about, but something really specific. And Musa was like, he starts texting me about what we're talking about. He's like,
there.
he's like, I can hear you. And I was like, bro, I thought you were at practice. I'm texting him this. So I look in his room. He's not in his room. And so I look in the bathroom. He's not in the bathroom. I look in Chewy's room. I look in my room. I'm like, like, this guy's not here, isn't he? And then he texts me. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm here. Like, responding to what I'm saying out loud. And I'm like, dude, keep in mind, we live in, like, a small apartment. It takes, like, maybe 1 minute to search the whole apartment. So I run into the kitchen. I go on the other side, but I'm like, he's probably not on the other side. He couldn't hear me. Like, where is he? He's still texting me what he's like, are you like looking
in the study room?
Yeah, he goes, I'm in the study room, which doesn't even make sense because me and Andrew weren't like screaming. Like, he's like texting us about what we're talking. So we go out to the study room, and we're in the study room. I start talking to him, and now by this point, it's like me, Andrew, Will, and Nolan. We're all searching for him, and we're having another conversation out there. I'm like, dude, where could Musa be? Like, I don't think he's behind this couch. And then Moose is like, text us, I'm not behind that couch. I'm like, bro, he can hear us out here too? Like, what? And so, bro, I immediately like make it a vlog clip, and I'm trying to find him. And I must have been looking for him for like an hour and a half. And finally, like, I get to my bed, and there's like some bins under my bed, and I like move them, and dude, like a mummy, like buried alive, like gasps for breath. He's like, Scottish accent. He's like, I got you good. You could never find. Yeah, he said, the master plan. The master plan.
Like coming out there, and he's like wiping the sweat off his
like
face.
Dripping sweat, like so dedicated to the joke. There was like other times where he would hide in my roommate's closet for like an hour waiting for him to come home, just so we could scare him. And but the time that was what made that instance so interesting is he got Will in on it.
Yeah.
So Will was like texting him what we were saying.
Yeah.
So no matter where we went, he would like know how to like text us and act like he was right there. And it was just funny. Like, he got out, he's like, my master plan.
Master plan. So good, bro.
There's a lot of just
like such random things that are so funny.
That's like, dude, the thing that I always miss most is the tomfoolery.
It's just like straight up tomfoolery.
Literally just tomfoolery. Oh, gosh. That's what I miss about high school, too, was the tomfoolery. Like, in college class, no one really messes around. But, dude, in my high school, people did whatever they wanted. They would just mess around so hard in class. Yeah, so that was like a funny story. A topic I was going to talk to you about was life with a girlfriend and without a girlfriend. We covered it a little bit. Do you have any thoughts? What's the difference?
Companionship. There's always somebody with you. There's always somebody to like talk to. Like,
it's so comfortable.
It's so comfortable because it's like, before I always had like all of my homies, and like, I had a few like friends that were girls that like I could say what's up to and talk to, but nobody that was like could tell them about everything. And I thought about this recently just because I've been around Claire so much lately, just because we're back at school and we're just always together, and I'm able to just like tell her about like things that happen during the day, like super simple things that you just kind of take for granted being able to tell somebody when you can't, you know? Like, I would always talk to Nolan and give him the rundown of the day and like what's going on and all that, but it's just like, it's different, you know? It's so nice. And what I think is like so strange is like, we have this like perception of like what love is and like being in love and like finding your person and like all this stuff, like it's some like grand thing. It's so strange. It's like the strangest feeling. I can't even explain to you like why it's so strange. It's just like, this girl is my girlfriend. Like,
but
you know, like it's just like insane.
Well, do you think like, this is a good question, because it's your first relationship.
Yes.
Do you think that love is like based on like, I mean, I don't want you to directly compare it to movies, but just like your understanding of love before you had a girlfriend, whether that came from like movies or shows or music and conversations, does like being with someone live up to like what you thought love was?
I don't think you can compare it to like movies.
Yeah, I know.
That's like it's like that's like cinematic.
But I'm
like,
saying like what you like imagined it to be. Is it similar? Or
I think it's
different?
similar to what I expected. I remember having a conversation with my friends, and they asked me like, what do you think your definition of love is?
Yeah.
And they gave a really good perspective that I was able to like translate to a lot of different things is you like love this person like more than yourself. Like you are just like you'd give anything for this person, and I think like that is like it's such a strong feeling, especially for me now, is like I love myself, but I also like really love this other person with like with all you know, like it's not to say like I love her more than me, like, you know, like I would, you know, but it's like you do in a sense, you know, it's kind of like a mixed thing.
I wrote a definition of love because I thought about this a lot. Like everyone throws around the word love, like oh, I love this or I love that, but a lot of people you ask them and they can't give a definition.
Yeah.
So I like a couple months ago I was like I want to write a definition of love, and what I believe what I wrote was love is doing something for someone with no expectation of reward, but it still results in joy. Yeah. So it's like doing something for someone with no expectation of reward, but it still results in joy. So it's like maybe you like give Claire a pair of shoes or something, and you're not expecting anything. You're not expecting her to give you something back or to like have this grandiose reaction, but you just care so much about that person that just the act of giving to them fills you with joy.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's like such a that's a great definition, and I like the feeling that it gives me knowing that they appreciate that. Yeah. They appreciate those thoughts to you. And so I think
it's like there's multiple love, because the way I love my girlfriend, which I don't have a girlfriend, but just for hypothetically, the way I would love my girlfriend is not the way I love my mom. It's not the way I love my friends. And so, and also like describing love, like dictionary definition, kind of how I gave it to you. Well, there's love as in like what I feel, and then there's what I kind of described was like the action of love. Yeah.
I definitely it translates to a lot of different things with like how your relationship is with family or with significant other or anything like that, and just like even with the homies, like I like me and Ozzy, and we texting her like, yo, I love you, bro. Like it's like, you know, it's because one, like you never know when you're gonna see them again, or like you just never know. And like I always text all my homies like, I love you, bro. Like or whomever it is, like all my friends, like I don't know when I'm gonna see them again. So if I don't, then you know I always want to leave on that. Like, I love you, bro. Like I appreciate you. And then when it translates to like my girlfriend, like, dude, I freaking love her so much. Like it's insane. It's just it's like so overwhelmingly good that it just like makes me so happy. And
I have a question. This is something I talked about on another podcast with one of my other best friends, and it was after we both got a breakup. So interesting perspective. But do you think relationships cause complacency? And so to elaborate on that is like, do you think like a lot of life, they tell you the biggest growth moments in life are the most uncomfortable ones, whether you're in a really hard practice, a really hard sports team, but then at the end of it, it like builds your character, or really hard school, at the end of it builds your character. And relationships are so comfortable. So I think that some people experience complacency. What do you think? Do you think that or no? Or thoughts?
I think people can. I don't think I am, because I think every relationship is like constantly growing. Every relationship is like continually just can be changing like day to day, even though for the most part it's the same. I think it can be easy to start to like rely on somebody and rely on that person. And I've expressed, like, me and Claire are really open about having conversations about whatever we're feeling, which I'm so thankful for, because it makes, when we first started talking, like really, like when we were getting serious, we were expressing things that were stressing me out that were also stressing her out, and so we were able to like squash it before it made any of us feel uncomfortable. And so I think that's a key part in having that relationship. Yeah. But relying on people, we've both tried to just like express like, yes, like we both want to be around each other all the time, but we can't rely on that constantly.
That's like,
and so that's kind of being complacent with it, but it's an ever-changing thing.
I think that there's something I've seen a lot, which is that especially in people's first relationships, which is that they hang out with their girlfriend all the time, but through hanging out with their girlfriend all the time, they hang out with their friends less.
Yeah.
And then if it does end, they feel like really lost because they feel like their other relationships aren't up to par. And
I felt that too. Is that when I was first put into this, we first got into the relationship, it was, I kind of was starting to cut out people that I was talking to consistently.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know. It's not intentional.
You're never sitting there.
It's just like, sometimes, like, like I didn't want, like, other girls who are my friends to just be, like, texting me, chatting me. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of uncomfortable sometimes. Even though, like, I would never, nothing is happening. I kind of, like, felt like, oh, I cut this person out a little bit. Like, but they're still my friend. Like, I don't want them to think, like, our friendship's over, but it just kind of just, like, happens sometimes.
Yeah, that's, like, a whole nother thing.
But it also, for, in my instance, like, for example, one of my friends, we, like, stopped talking for a sec just because, like, it was when I was talking to Claire and all that, and then she's one of my good friends. Like, I'm not gonna cut her out, and, like, we were just friends, and she reached back out, and then we became friends where we were all hanging out, and then it became like a thing where all of us would be together, you know? So it kind of just, like, you're able to build that back, and it's kind of just an in the moment type thing.
Well, the other interesting thing about it is, like, I mean, love, people make movies about love, they write songs about love. Love has got to be the biggest topic of, like, creative inspiration. There's no more powerful creative inspiration.
Every song's about love, every song's about relationships, you know?
So the thing is, like, if you're in love with someone, then naturally they're probably going to be the most fun person to hang out with.
Yeah.
And if they're the most fun person to hang out with, naturally you're going to make more decisions to hang out with them than other friends. And it's almost like a discipline thing. When you're in a relationship, you have to be, like, disciplined to, like, still give your other friends time because you don't want to be super reliant on that person for your happiness.
And that takes a lot too. And I know that can be difficult for some people. Like, I've seen it with other people in relationships where they've totally, like, just recently, like, they've totally cut out everybody, and it's like, it kind of being kind of weird. Like, I don't want to, and I experienced this with one of my closest friends, like, and it was, we're not really friends anymore, and it kind of started at that point, and it wasn't intentional, I'm sure, but it's just, like, kind of sucks.
It's never intentional.
It's never intentional. It just kind of happens. But finding that balance and finding ways to really, on both sides, being able to stay connected with people, I think is important.
And it's also not just, like, a girlfriend thing. Like, right now we're zoned in on the girlfriend, but it's a life thing. Like, I mean, like I always, like, want to stay as close to you and Will and Brandon and Nolan, but, like, my life doesn't exist in San Diego State. I chose to go do this podcast thing and to travel the world, and I love my life, but it does come at the cost of not being as close to you guys and stuff. And that's like, I also think it's not always, I think in the girlfriend sense, it is more of a negative thing because it's more of you, like, letting it happen. But there's a lot of situations in life where you make a decision and it results in weaker friendships, and, like, that's okay. You just have to understand that it goes back to, like, not living in the old times. Like, the moment you're in has a new place and new friend, and, like, the thing is, like, I don't talk to Andrew how I used to talk, but I know he's still always be one of my best friends, like, forever, you know. And I don't know, I just think that's an interesting thing to bring up because
it's fresh, it's new.
It's
not fresh, life. It's just life. It's part of it.
It's literally life. Like, if you live,
it's tough to not become reliant on something that's like really enjoyable, because you don't want to really do anything else, you know?
Yeah.
And I've had to figure that out with, like, a lot of my close friends. Like, my best friend Matt, like, we weren't hanging out as much, and it was because I was with Claire a lot, but I was also really busy, so it was like a combination. We were both busy, and now it's like we're hanging out a lot more. Like, he'll come over and he'll hang out with me and Claire. Like, it's just a whole thing, and it kind of just takes time to really get to that point again.
And this is actually something that's been on my mind, like, a ton, is time.
Yes.
And you can actually tie it back to our first topic of fake friends. And time, like, I always tell people, I preach this a lot, like, I think when we're together, is like how much do you give to others, how much do you love others. People live for themselves. That's just the truth. And it's like, how much, and people go, well, they're like, well, I can't wait till like I hit it big and then I'll like start my charity or then I'll like give back to others or like, but a lot of people think of like giving as a future, especially at our age, because we don't have much to give. We're broke college students. So they think, oh, but that's not true because the most valuable thing we have is time.
Yeah.
And the way you give it to others shows how much you love them. That's why you spend the most time with your girlfriend. That's the person you love the most in the moment. And so it goes, and so I always think like I try to make a huge effort to call all my friends, and I have like a lot of friends, so it's like really not easy. But people always tell me like I'm good at like calling and stuff. But sometimes there will be people I call, I FaceTime them, and they will not answer, and they'll text me. I'll FaceTime them on like a Saturday, and they'll text me. They'll be like, I'm available next Thursday at 4 p.m. I'm like, why are we like scheduling a call like this? Like, you're my friend. And it's like, and what I've learned being in my world, I have like contacts now that are millionaires. That's not like a flex. Like I have friends that are 45 years old that own companies that are millionaires that I will FaceTime, who have a whole network of friends, a whole family, people way more important to them than I am to them. And they will answer the phone at the very least and be like, I'll call you back later. Yeah. Or like they always...
Or shoot you a text like, I'm finishing something, I'll call you back.
And I just see that like, and I never think negatively of like someone who's like, oh, I'm available next Tuesday. But it always reminds me of like, I'm very aware of how people use their time, because the time is a reflection of love. Like if you give your time to your friend, you will give the people you love the most time. Like that's just the truth. I mean, there's one-off circumstances, like when you leave to college, you're not going to spend as much time with your parents, even though you love them. But like, for the most part,
and that can be tough too.
The time, and that's something I really think about is just how do you spend time? And then another gripe I have with how people spend time is a lot of people are like, well, I need my alone time or I need my time, but then they spend their time like watching Netflix or like going on their phone or YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. It's like, that's not even like...
You're giving your time to somebody else.
That's like, yeah, you're literally like, we live in the attention economy. All these people are competing for your attention and your alone time isn't even for you. You're like giving it to these apps and stuff. Yeah. You're not even like processing your thoughts, which that's like a whole nother conversation. I just think it's interesting. Yeah, I try to take moments where I used to like just go on Instagram and scroll. I try to be like, all right, who could I call? Yeah, that's something I've tried, and I'm not perfect at it. Like I spend a lot of time on Instagram.
That's a good idea.
But
I like that.
I do find that it's just a lot more like fulfilling to my soul. It's very rare that you go on Instagram and you feel like it fulfills your soul. Like, when was the last time you saw something on Instagram and you're like, damn, like I either like feel like the best you can get is like a meme makes you laugh a lot. Or like maybe someone you love makes like a really awesome post. Like you do like a Times Now. I'm like, wow, I'm glad that Andrew's moving towards his dreams. But it's not like, it's very rare that Instagram or YouTube will ever give you like the fulfillment as like being there for one of your friends. Yeah. I feel.
I agree with that.
This leads me into my outro question. When you die, what do you want people to say about you?
Dude, this is so tough.
You can take your time.
I think, I want people to think that I was always myself around them and that I was always able to make people smile or make people laugh or, like, just, not to sound selfish, but, like, kind of miss the presence of having me around or, like I think having a presence when you're someplace or like being able to, I experienced this with Claire lived in OB and all of her roommates except for one I only met like twice and I was there with them like 80% of the time this summer when I was in San Diego and just being able to be in the presence of all of those people. I was able to just like, I felt like we all bounced off like each other perfectly and we were all just like really flowy in our conversations and just like jokes and laughing and these are random people. Like I've never met these people in my life. And so I think they all had presence. They all had like, yo, I miss this person. I wish they would come back or like, so those kind of things. I think I hope people kind of miss the presence that I bring. I feel like I bring a good presence to certain things, and like I don't know. Is that
I will definitely say, bro, I miss your presence. I miss living with you. I miss your presence,
bro.
So if that is your goal, then you've already achieved it with me, and I'm sure you're achieving it with Claire and Will and Brandon. You're already living it out. So it's good to know that if you die, you've already accomplished a lot of what you.
And I think also it can translate to a lot of things that you put out. Like for me, it's the time is now. I want to leave with like things out there so that people can see like what I was passionate about. And then I think it's the same with Ozzy. Like Ozzy put out all those YouTube videos, and for me that was a big part of my life too, and it was like that left a presence and an imprint on me, because I can go back and watch those videos and also feel a part of it, not only being in them but being part of like whatever was going on, and just ideas, and just I think presence is such a huge it's a big thing. Like it's something, like there could be negative presence, but I think positive presence is like if Ozzy, like that interaction we had just at the boat, like
it's like,
yo, there's Ozzy, he's wearing all white. I haven't seen him in so long. Like he looks I miss him. I miss that guy. Like
it's like,
it's just like he has that presence to him, and I think that's such a qualifying quality to have somebody.
I mean, like what you said, you can tell if someone had a good presence because like when they leave, if it's relief, then it was a negative present. But if they leave and it's like a reminisce, or like I miss those moments, and they
Yes, that's precisely what I was trying to say.
I think
there's negative and positive.
Another interesting thing too about like the whole soul wealth and like the way you measure success is like this podcast. Like I know it's not gonna get 0 views, but even if it did get 0 views, it's like it's already a success because it's something that builds on our relationship. It's another memory. And it's literally a memory that we can come back and listen to. Maybe one day, like, you get, like, married to Claire and you're like, oh, shit, bro, I remember I was talking.
We were on the boat, bro.
Like, maybe one day you're not with her and you're like, oh, like, this was my first relation. And it's just, like, it's another thing. And that's how I try to think about those vlogs. They're really time capsules of, like, our life.
Yeah, I think so, too. I think time capsule moments, and that's, like, my whole thing with Time Is Now is capturing moments. And, like, I also, like, I'll make videos at the end of the year that I go back and watch, or I'll do like voice video diaries and just like listen to myself like at this point last year. Like I think that's such an interesting thing to do, and I would suggest that everybody has some sort of like way to kind of look back, and like I'm back into journaling again. Like there's just so many different things that don't take much time that can really just elevate your life, and make you feel a little bit better.
All right, bro.
Yes.
That was bro.
Love you, bro.
I love you too. Bro.
On the boat, bro. We got the neighbors. The neighbors came in. You already know.